I'm going to make for you today a muesli bread. Now this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous homemade bread for breakfast or even for a snack with various kind of toppings. So I'll talk you through the kind of toppings that we can have. But this is so, so delicious, either to be used in a sweet or in a savoury kind of way. And it's really, really easy. So first thing we're going to do is to get our yeast up and going. We want to bring it alive. So I'm going to give the yeast some food. Maple syrup. So sugar is fantastic for feeding the yeast. Just dissolve your maple syrup in some warm water, not hot. You don't want to scald the yeast, you'll kill it. So just sort of nice lukewarm water there. And then I'm going to sprinkle my yeast on top. And what will happen if you just let that sit for 8 to 10 minutes, it's going to froth up and look like this. So it's nice and warm and the yeast has come alive and it's ready to make our bread. So I'll just pop that to one side and I'll have to make another loaf after I finish with you. So here we go, our active yeast is ready. Now we're going to put together our dry ingredients. So I've got some wholemeal flour that's popping in, and that is adding us our fibre. And you've also got some protein in there. And then I'm going to add a natural muesli. So I'm using this natural muesli that's got macadamias in there, the grain base of both oats and barley, so it's fabulous for fibre. We've got pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds that's really going to add some lovely good fats, texture, and all that deliciousness into our bread. Some sweetness from the dried fruit that's there. And then we are going to add a good pinch of salt. You want about a teaspoonful of salt. And then we are ready to add our wet ingredients. So my fat is going to come from extra virgin olive oil, a couple of tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And you might want to use a light flavoured oil if you don't want the flavour of extra virgin olive oil coming into your bread. That's just a personal taste thing. I quite like the flavour. And then I'm just going to pour in my yeast, making sure that you scrape out all that froth, because that's all that lovely activated yeast. You can of course do this by hand, straight on the bench if you prefer, but I'm going to use my dough hook and do this for about 8 to 10 minutes until it's nicely kneaded. So our dough now is ready for us to let it rise. I'm going to take it out of here. You can see it's reasonably sticky. I'm just going to flour my bench to make it easier to handle. Get some flour onto your hands. So just get your dough out of your bowl. It should be a little sticky. You can see there it's beautifully kneaded. You can, of course, have done that by hand, but this just makes it super easy. And now I'm just going to turn it out. Just give it a big press out. Just have a feel of your dough. Give it one last little knead with your hands. Just create it into a nice bowl. And I've already oiled my bowl here. Put your ball of dough into the center. I'm going to cover this with Glad wrap and then leave this in a nice warm place for about an hour and a half until it rises beautifully. So here's our dough for the muesli bread, nicely risen. It's been doing in a nice warm place for about an hour and a half. And you can see it's not going to rise as much as when you use a real white flour, because the wholemeal flour and the muesli makes this quite a heavy dough. But it's nicely risen there. I'm just going to put a little flour back in my bench and on my hands, tip this out. Feels nice and warm. And I'm just going to knock the air bubbles out and make it into a nice sort of log shape. And then I'm going to pop it into my lined loaf tin. So I'm just going to cover this with a clean towel, just so the top doesn't dry out. We want to leave that for 30 or 40 minutes to do that second rise, then we're going to be ready to bake. So I just let this cool for a couple of minutes in the tin and then turned it out onto a wire rack. Still a little bit warm, but I think that's the nicest way to eat bread. So let's just slice into this and take a look. This is so, so delicious as your breakfast loaf. I would top it with, I've got some almond butter here, and maybe some sliced banana or sliced strawberry on the top. Or you could do something like ricotta with a little honey if you want something sweeter. It's so, so good. And fantastic on your cheese board with something like a lovely strong cheddar or a goat's cheese would be absolutely divine.